Welcome back to our channel. In this video, we are going to explain the science of genetics, which helps in faster muscle gain.
What if I told you there's a guy out there who eats less than 1,500 calories a day, literally constantly in a caloric deficit, and yet his muscle growth speed is just, well, it's practically unheard of. I mean, before he ever even touched a weight, his arms were bigger than most grown men's. And then, well, then there was me when I first started out. Narrow shoulders, incredibly skinny frame. You guys, I literally looked like a stick you'd find in your backyard.
So, let's dive right into the massive elephant in the room question. Is it actually possible to beat crappy genetics? Like, if you aren't naturally wired for rapid muscle growth and you're grinding away in the gym but barely seeing the scale budge, are you just stuck looking the exact same forever? Well, today we are going to scientifically prove why the answer to that is a resounding no. To do that, we've laid out a three-pillar roadmap for this explainer. First, we're looking at unlocking growth speed. Second, we'll dive into the broad frame illusion. And third, finding your natural limit.
All right, let's jump straight into Chapter 1, Unlocking Growth Speed.
Okay, so we have to face a basic genetic reality right out of the gate. Some people are simply wired to build muscle up to 3 times faster than the rest of us, period. And a huge part of that comes down to a specific protein called myostatin. Think back to our ancestral days, right? We never knew when our next meal was coming. Muscle burnt a ton of calories. So evolution basically hooked us up with myostatin to act as a genetic roadblock. It literally prevents our muscles from getting too big so we don't starve to death. But there are extreme outliers. When someone has a deficiency in this gene, the results are staggering. In 2004, a German newborn was documented with a myostatin mutation. By age 4, this kid was effortlessly doing lateral raises with 7-pound dumbbells, like absolutely jacked right out of the womb. Crazy, right?
And that brilliantly illustrates how vastly different our bodies react to the gym. Look at this massive 2016 study. 287 people did the exact same full-body workout twice a week for 6 straight months. The results? They were scattered everywhere. Using ultra-precise MRI and ultrasound scans, researchers found 3 distinct groups. The top row here, the hyper-responders. These folks grew 2 to 3 times faster than average, getting up to 30% bigger. The middle row is where most of us sit, the average responder, gaining about 5 to 10%. But wow, that bottom row is the real kicker. The low responders barely built any muscle, and incredibly, some of them actually lost muscle on the exact same routine. Just imagine never missing a single gym session with your buddy for 6 straight months. He gets totally jacked, and you actually lose size. Rough.
So if you happen to be an average or low responder, what's the scientific workaround? Well, it all comes down to volume. Pro-natural bodybuilder and researcher Dr. Eric Helms recently co-authored a really unique crossover study comparing a lower volume protocol against a higher volume one. They tested this thoroughly, and guess what? Everyone seemed to respond better to the higher volume protocol. It turns out you can often completely match the gains of a genetic high responder by simply putting in more work.
So how exactly do you apply this to your own routine? Let's break down the exact blueprint word for word. Step 1, under 12 sets per week. Add 20 to 30% more volume. Step 2, 12 to 20 sets per week. Only add if form and recovery are dialed in. Step 3, 20 plus sets per week. Extra push isn't worth it. Follow those exact steps and you're golden.
Moving right along, let's get into Chapter 2, the broad frame illusion.
So, a lot of people think if you're born with a wide, broad skeleton, your body is just genetically programmed to build muscle much faster. But actually, that's largely a myth. A recent study investigated this and found that, yes, wider-framed people do naturally start off with more baseline muscle mass. Obviously, they have a bigger frame to cover. But when researchers specifically measured how quickly they built new muscle compared to narrow-framed lifters, the advantage was barely even detectable.
What a wide frame really gives you is just a visual illusion. And a magic number behind that illusion is 1.6. Studies show this is the ideal aesthetic shoulder-to-waist ratio. It's what creates that highly desired V-taper look. When I started out with my ridiculously narrow frame, my ratio was a completely straight 1-to-1, no taper whatsoever. So how do you build out to a 1.6 if you just don't have the natural genetics for it?
Well, you use a clever strategy called specialization. Think about it like a budget. If your body can only recover from a limited total amount of volume each week, the smartest move is to spend that volume budget where it'll make the most massive visual impact. You intentionally create an imbalance in your training. You push your focus muscles up to an intense 20 to 30 sets a week, while drastically cutting back your naturally strong maintenance muscles down to just 4 to 6 sets.
Here is the exact specialization protocol word for word, so you know exactly how to budget your recovery. Pick 1 or 2 focused muscle groups. For example, shoulders, glutes. Start at 10 sets per week, train twice weekly. Add 2 sets weekly until reaching 20 to 30 sets. Dial back all other muscles to 8 to 12 sets. Drop naturally strong muscles to 4 to 6 sets. Visually, applying this creates a complete transformation.
All right, on to our third and final chapter, finding your natural limit.
So, what is the actual biological genetic ceiling for your specific body? The absolute gold standard for measuring this is your fat-free mass index, or FFMI. Think of this as your ultimate jacked score. To give you some real-world context on these numbers, your average non-lifter sits somewhere around an 18. Tom Holland is around a 20. Cristiano Ronaldo is a 21. And then at the absolute peak of natural genetic potential, you have guys like Prime John Cena or The Rock hitting anywhere between 28 to 30. And yeah, steroid users can break the scale completely, easily hitting 35 or higher. So you're probably wondering, how do I actually find my score? Well, it's a super simple 3-step calculation. Step 1, multiply your body fat percentage by your weight in kilograms to find your fat mass. Step 2, subtract that fat mass from your weight to find your lean mass. Step 3, divide your lean mass by your height in meters squared. Once you do that quick math, you'll know exactly where you stand.
Now let's see how your score lines up with your genetic potential. Researcher Dr. Eric Trexler spent decades compiling data to map this out for us. A low responder might max out their FFMI between 20 to 21 and usually gains about 4 to 5 pounds of muscle in their very first year of training. An average person can max out around 22 to 23, gaining roughly 8 to 10 pounds initially. And the high responders, those ultra-rare top 1% genetic freaks, they can push an FFMI of 24 or higher and sometimes pack on over 20 pounds of muscle in just their first year of lifting. Wild.
But hey, before you get discouraged if you're sitting in that 20 to 21 range, consider this. Being extremely lean creates the visual illusion of a massive physique, even with a completely average FFMI. A perfect example, Brad Pitt in Fight Club, or martial arts legend Bruce Lee. Neither of these guys had a high fat-free mass index. They both sat right around that totally average 20 to 21 range. But because they were so incredibly lean, they looked absolutely massive and incredible on screen.
Which brings us to our final takeaway, taking control of your results. I absolutely love this quote from muscle growth researcher Zach Robinson. He says, "A lot of the differences that we see in muscle growth studies cannot be explained by genetics alone." It really emphasizes that non-genetic factors are very often the true culprits behind your stalled progress.
The harsh reality here is that most people who think they just have bad genetics are actually just suffering from one of these completely controllable factors: suboptimal nutrition, terrible sleep quality, a severe lack of actual intense training effort, or just fundamentally flawed workout plans. In the source material for this explainer, there's this amazing story about a client named Brian. Brian was fully convinced for years that he was just a genetic low responder. He was basically ready to throw in the towel entirely. But once his routine was audited, it turned out he actually had incredible genetics. He was just doing it wrong. Once he fixed his nutrition and actually started training with real effort, his body completely transformed.
And that story really drives home the core message of this entire explainer. Genetics are just your starting point, not your final destination. Look, you can't change the genetic hand you were dealt at birth, whether you're a hyper-responder or someone who has to fight tooth and nail for every single ounce of muscle. But you have absolute 100% control over how you play that hand through smart volume adjustments, targeted specialization, and mastering your recovery.
Thanks for watching. Visit our channel for more fitness knowledge. See you in the next video.